Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and I'm so excited to bring you the first tour of the gallery. Want to show you all the aquariums. We've seen all these tanks go up over the last 2 months or so. Let's take a closer look, see what's in them now, see how they're doing. Thank you so much for being here. So now that the aquarium gallery is done, at least the tanks are set up, I wanted to take a few minutes and show you those 5 aquariums. Some of them have changed a little bit since we set them up. We've got additional fish in the aquariums. Some of the fish have changed. We still have some work to do in the gallery in terms of what's on the walls. We have some retro art we're going to be putting up on the walls. The pictures that you see on the shelves, those still need to be illuminated from the front so they don't look so dark. Haven't quite gotten to that point yet. We do have a little bit of seating that has to go in as well. But for the most part, the tanks, I think, are ready to show. And for those of you who've been following the channel for a while, you've followed us with these 5 tanks over the last couple months. So let's go take a look and I'll show you what the gallery looks like. Now, one of the things that we wanted this to be is, well, it really had a few purposes. One, this is now the backdrop to our live streams. If you saw our live stream this past week, you will know that that was the new backdrop and we really like it. The other thing that I wanted to do is be able to just showcase some of the fish that we really enjoy and have an atmosphere where they were easy to enjoy, not quite as easy to do when the fish room is up and running. So the first aquarium I am going to show you is the first one that we set up. It has changed quite a bit. This is a 75-gallon Lake Tanganyika tank. It was my first attempt to ever really do any kind of aquascaping, and that was fun as we went through this project. I got to aquascape all the aquariums. Now, yes, this is a Lake Tanganyika setup for the most part. Some things have changed. We lost most of the Cyprichromis in what I would like to call the I didn't dechlorinate the water disaster. All the Similis lived, the Neolamprologus similis, the shell dwellers that you see there, they were all fine, but all the Cyprichromis, with the exception of just a couple, I forgot to dechlorinate the water when I put the water in, and that took a heavy toll on this aquarium. We were going to add some of these other fish in anyway, and so the other fish that you see, we've got some rock dwellers like the Julidochromis transcriptus. We've got Bifronatus back there. You see an Ornatus with the yellow stripes. This is a big inkfin calvus that we have. We also have some gold head compressiceps. This has been a great mix of fish so far, as all cichlids will do. They will chase people around if they are in their territory. But as you can see throughout this video, there's no fin nipping, there's no fish hiding in a corner, and these fish are getting along relatively well. The one thing I do not expect to see is a lot of fry, mostly because of this inkfin calvus and the gold head compressiceps, especially as they get older. They're most likely going to consume any fry that is produced in this tank. And so once you set up a Lake Tanganyika community tank, you can pretty much forget seeing a lot of fry, especially with these shell dwellers. While they're going to be close to the shells, they might be okay, but as they start to venture out in their smaller size, most likely they are not going to make it with those other predatory fish in this aquarium. The equipment on this tank is pretty straightforward. We've got a Fluval 407 canister filter, and we have the Aqua Illumination LED light, the 4-foot light that we absolutely love. That blade light is what's responsible for illuminating these aquariums. Now, this is the 125. This is the Geophagus tank. We lost our big Geophagus Altifrons. He did not like that move. We have other Geophagus in here. They are what I like to call Cerinamensis species with little quotation marks around, because they are probably one of 3 different species. We have Geophagus megasema, Geophagus altifrons, and Geophagus weinmilleri. I had brought those all in at the same time. None of the bags were labeled, and when they were really small, they were pretty much identical. I think I have at least 2 different species in this tank to be sure. Other fish in this aquarium, we have snakeskin barbs, a bunch of different types of rainbow fish. We have Bosemani. I think there's some echolochi in here, some blue turquoise rainbows as well. We do have the big clown loaches, believe it or not. They are still in here, and they are large. There are 5 of them, all stuck behind that plant. Every once in a while, when I come down here at night and turn the room light on, I will see them all at the front of the tank, but they don't like to come out too much anymore when the lights are on. The snakeskin barbs, I think, are a real standout in this aquarium. I absolutely love the color, love the personality. They can be a bit shy, and for a barb, I would not call them a fish that acts like a barb. They're not super active. They don't fin nip other fish or each other, and they've been really awesome. We've had them in a number of tanks in our fish room. Love them in this setup. The real star of the show is going to be those Geophagus. As they start to get larger, these fish are going to reach somewhere around 8 to 10 inches or so with long fin trailers. They're going to have a lot of color. And so it's going to take a little while for this aquarium to show its full potential. This particular tank has the Aqua Illumination Blade 6-foot light. It also has an Oaza Thermo 850 canister filter, and that's what's keeping the tank running and looking good. The plants here, this was a tank where Joanna was I did the hardscaping, Joanna did the planting. We used a lot of Anubias. We did use a few crypts, a little bit of jungle val, and then you got this big crinum on the right-hand side. The jungle val, for whatever reason, didn't do well in this tank. It was torn up probably mostly by the clown loaches, and we really haven't gotten it to grow. The Anubias is starting to fill in. As you could see, if you were to go back a month or two and look at the aquarium, you would see that you'd still see a lot more wood. That wood was actually 5 different pieces that I glued together, and then we used the rock just to kind of wedge it down and to weigh it down. But this is one of my favorite tanks in the gallery, really because of these Geophagus. You can see that big guy right there with that black spot is most likely Geophagus megasema. The other ones I think might be more of a Geophagus Weinmilleri. The other thing that's in this aquarium that I absolutely love, we have 6 full-grown glass cats, and you can see one kind of appearing there. When it's time to eat, they come out, but for the most part, they also like to be behind cover. So that one is kind of out, but like I said, we've got 6 of them in here. Great fish, love their activity level. They're very, very peaceful fish. Used to be more popular years ago, not quite as much anymore. You can see we're dealing with a little bit of black beard algae in this tank. And so as I mentioned in the live stream, I wanted to take you through and kind of show you some of the issues that we're dealing with. Also on the left-hand side of this tank, that was where the jungle val was supposed to grow. We're going to have to plant that side because it looks a little barren next to the right-hand side, but the plan was to originally have jungle val on that side. This might be my favorite tank. I would love to hear from you in the comments section below. Out of the ones that I showed you, which one is your favorite? This was the one I set up. I had, I think it was 5 or 6 pieces of wood that I glued together here. Lots of crypts and Anubias in this aquarium. This was our large Nano aquarium. Again, it's a 125, just like the tank I showed you previously. Right now, the stocking is fairly simple. We have some diamond head neon tetras, and we have some ember tetras, and so those are the small fish that you see swimming all around. We also have a half a dozen giant coolie loaches. The giant variety just gets a little bit thicker than the regular coolie loaches, but stays about the same length. We also have a few bristlenose plecos in here as well. This is a tank that is going to get more stocking. I've got some fish in quarantine right now, and they are going to be added to this tank in the next week or two, and I will be sure to give you an update when we add those other fish. But the idea is we're going to be adding some more smaller fish that are going to really pop in this aquarium. Just like you see here, I love this combination right now of the ember tetras and the diamond head neons. Right now, the ember tetras are giving that really pretty orange, and the diamond head neons, of course, are adding that blue and that red. And we've got some other fish going in here that are going to add even more color variation, and some smaller centerpiece fish that I think are really going to show off in this particular tank. And so we're going to have a lot of variety in here, and that's one of the goals, the main goals with this particular tank, is I wanted to show off smaller fish in a bigger aquarium. Now, for the most part, this aquarium, we haven't had too many issues. Again, we've got the Aqua Illumination Blade LED light on this tank. More than enough illumination for this aquarium. In fact, these lights are down to around 30% illumination, because if we had it any higher for the plants that we have here, we might be getting excessive algae growth. And so people ask, hey, is there a high-end LED light, strip light, that can grow highlight plants? And these Aqua Illumination lights absolutely can do that. You can see some rather large crypts in the background. They're really starting to take off. Those crypts right now are probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 16, 17 inches tall in the background there. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of green hair algae, as you can see. The plan here is we're actually going to add a couple Siamese algae eaters to this tank. I don't see a lot of blackbeard on that tank, but if it should ever occur, they will already be there. This is our 75-gallon Mbuna tank. This is the one that we had set up last in the fish room gallery, or the fish gallery. It's got the Aqua Decor background, 3D background. The wood that you see here is actually 4 pieces of wood that I glued together, a little bit of rock work. Now, the Mbuna are a mix of yellow labs and Pseudotrophia psilocybe. By the way, if you're looking for species profiles on the fish that we feature in this video, check out the description. We'll have the species profiles for you there. But these are more mellow Mbuna. They tend not to be overly aggressive. I've got more yellow labs right now in quarantine than I plan to add to this tank, because for the Mbuna tank, right now I think we only have 9 or 10 fish in here. That's a little bit too lightly stocked for a 75 gallon to keep the aggression down when they get older. And so we're going to add a few more to this tank. We've got 3 small bristlenose plecos in here that are keeping this tank algae free. It started to have a brown diatom algae issue. The bristlenose plecos took care of it right away, which is pretty cool. They basically cleaned off the entire aquarium. We have, again, we have the Aqua Illumination Blade LED. Filtering this tank is a Fluval 407. I have found those Fluval 407s to be a really good filter for the 75 gallon aquarium. This is the last tank I want to show you. This is our 50 gallon Lowboy. It was the 4th tank, I believe, that we set up. Now this one has changed quite a bit. We put originally a lot of Anubias in here. It all died. Almost all the Anubias in here just melted away. It was the weirdest thing, but the crypts, as you can see, are really taking off. The other unfortunate thing that happened in this tank is we lost the rainbow goby. It decided to take a jump and we lost that fish. Other than that, the fish in here are doing fine, but as I suspected, a lot of them like to hide. That's what they were doing in this tank when we had them before. So the peacock gudgeons and the gold laser cories, when it's time to eat, they come out. The empire gudgeons are, believe me, they're in this tank, but they also like to hide. And so right now you're just seeing basically the scape, because a lot of those fish like to hide. You can see a super red bristlenose in there. We also have a standard. This tank, unfortunately, has the biggest issue when it comes to things we have to work through, and this is it right here. We've got some blackbeard algae going on in here. I plan to add a couple of Siamese algae eaters to this tank as well, just to hopefully kind of keep that in check. They may not get rid of it completely. Also, I turned the lights way down in that aquarium. I think they're maximally running at around 30%. A lot of them are down to 15%, but those AI prime lights are outstanding. I plan to do an unboxing, and I will do a review on those lights, because they have got a lot of different control mechanisms. So again, this is the gallery. This is what we're going to be using for a background. It'll be an educational gallery. We'll be able to highlight some of the fish in this tank and some of the equipment and some of the plants. So again, would love to hear from you. What is your favorite tank in the new gallery? Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us over the last few months to see this thing come to life. We still have more fish to add to some of these aquariums. We still have more to do with the, like I said, just the overall feel of the room. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in the next one.